Welcome, it's Ropo Chinchilla, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys my first ever Elite variant comparison video, where I compare and contrast the original variant of a gun with the Elite variant of a gun in Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Today we are going to be comparing the IMR with its Elite variant, the IMR Thunder Tusk. Now, the first thing that we're going to look at, and the first thing that you guys are going to see when you get this out of supply drop, is the card for the gun, and its stat increases, decreases, what's good and what's bad. So, looking at the stat card, we can see the accuracy has been increased by 3, and the handling is decreased by 1. The handling being decreased by 1 affects your reload speed and how fast you move with the weapon. After understanding the stat increases and decreases of this weapon, you're going to want to make a class. And analyzing this weapon with the class that I have used, it doesn't completely make sense because it was made just for the purpose of this video. It's stacked with tons of perks, and I have an RW1 as a secondary just to compensate for the fact I wanted to add one more point. But I thought that I'd include it anyways. Right when you jump into a round with this gun, you're going to notice the beautiful gold engraved pattern on the gun, and as you could see from the side view of the gun, there is a wood stock that looks pretty nice too. The precise iron sights from the IMR are still on the Thunder Tusk. Before I go into any more information about the gameplay and how it plays out, we're going to talk about the statistics of this weapon and whether the accuracy increase is worth it or not. To test whether the accuracy increase of 3 was worth it or not, I went into the firing range and I did 10 tests in total with the IMR and the IMR Thunder Tusk for ADS accuracy and hipfire accuracy. With this data I was able to collect, I put all of the accuracy percentages into tables. On screen, I will be displaying the graphs of the IMR and the IMR Thunder Tusk side by side to compare the percentages of ADS accuracy. When you look at the overall portion of each of the graphs, you're going to notice that the percentage difference is only 0.36. That number is accounting for the averages of all of the tests, meaning the ADS accuracy of each weapon from 5 to 25 meters. But taking a look at the gameplay of the Thunder Tusk in the firing range, you'll see that it pretty much makes a single dot on the firing range dummy. The original IMR does not, meaning that in gameplay you're going to notice that you're very, very effective at ranges further than 25 meters. I'll display a clip of the IMR Thunder Tusk exceeding 25 meters and clearly getting an easy long shot. Moving on to the ADS accuracy of the IMR and the IMR Thunder Tusk, we can see on the graphs they are displaying all of the percentages, and the overall percentage of both is kind of interesting. We see that the IMR hipfire accuracy percentage is significantly larger, a whopping 6.06%. The most interesting thing that I found about these numbers was the dip from 15 to 25 meters. I'm talking about both of the weapons and how at 20 meters it appears that the hipfire accuracy is less than at 25 meters. Given these aren't practical hipfire ranges, the only ranges that you'll really care about where your hipfire range is going to matter is from 10 to 0 meters. And as the graphs display, you can see that the Thunder Tusk, in extreme close ranges from 5 to 0, it has a higher average. But when you take a look at the 10 meter comparison, you're going to see that the IMR has the better one by 27.8%. So you're probably wondering, why do all these numbers matter and how do they apply to my gameplay? What these numbers are basically showing is how much accuracy you're going to have at specific ranges given you have 100% accuracy. Since there's no damage increase or decrease, this means that at all ranges you're going to have roughly the same amount of shots to put into an enemy to down them. The accuracy buff being the main attraction of this weapon, you are going to hit more shots at ranges and miss less, basically meaning you'll down your opponents faster. 6 shots is what it takes to kill for each weapon, and with the accuracy of the Thunder Tusk, you're not going to have problems with downing people at ranges. Both of these weapons have effective hipfire accuracy, but don't rely on it. Try to engage in medium and long range fights if you can. Another attribute about the Thunder Tusk is that it does have a smaller clip size. The mag size decreases from 36 to 28, meaning that you have 8 less shots you're going to be able to get off on your opponents if you're stuck into a situation where you can't reload and you have to keep gunning. Those 2 bursts didn't seem to make that big of a difference to me, but if you're feeling uncomfortable with that clip size, then you should add an extended mag, which will bump up the mag size to 42 compared to its original 28. This is a pretty significant bump up. It's a lot of extra bullets that you have, and an awkward thing about the extended mag attachment for the IMR and the Thunder Tusk is that your last mag, if you completely unload, is only going to be 2 bullets. You probably won't be in the situation where you will need to rely on those last 2 bullets for the final burst. Just don't get too comfortable not having to reload. To begin wrapping this video up, I want to talk about what attachments that you should use or consider using depending on your playstyle. If you find yourself in situations where you need to hip fire a lot, then on the Thunder Tusk it would be recommended to use a laser sight. The iron sights aren't terrible on this weapon, so I don't understand why you would really need to use an optic, but if you personally don't like them, then try out another optic. I personally prefer a 1x optic, but there are sights in this game which have variable zooms, such as the hybrid sight and the autofocus sight. Both very simple, but with the hybrid sight you have control over what range and what zoom that weapon has at a given time, and with the autofocus sight you're going to notice that it will automatically zoom depending on what range you're aiming at. If you want enemies to pop out at ranges or just pop out in general while ADSing, choose the target enhancer or the thermal sight. The target enhancer is a 1x, so I would prefer it over the thermal, which does have a breathing button. And I could probably work with an ACOG scope on this weapon, considering that it is made for medium to long range engagements. That would be a good optic. The only downside to it is that it blurs out the area around your scope. One attachment that I would definitely recommend running with this weapon is the suppressor. The harmful effects of the suppressor statistically don't seem to really affect the gun in any way when actually playing with it. If you are having issues with the suppressor, then I'd recommend going with an optic on the weapon too. Overall, I think that it would be worth it to stay off the minimap with this weapon, since if you get up close and personal with people, then they won't be able to pinpoint your location while shooting. That's all I've got left to say about the IMR Thunder Tusk, so I hope everybody enjoyed, and I'm looking forward to doing more of these in the future, because it was a fun process, but a long one. I would really enjoy your support and your feedback, because it would really help out if you guys would tell me how I did on this and if I should continue or not. Obviously, I can only do this when I get an elite weapon and when I've had it for a bit. But I hope you're really getting the information out of how much better these elite variants are compared to the original ones, or if they're better at all. So overall, thanks for watching, and see you around soon.